I'm a third-year PhD student. My name is Lisa Herbert, and I study trace metals in the Arctic Ocean.
I'm Tara Dolan. I'm a PhD student at the School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences, and I study restoring commercial and recreational fisheries on Long Island.
It is really important for young scientists to get training in communication, to communicate to more than just other scientists, to communicate to the public, to communicate to policymakers. And this is so important because so many of the world's problems we're facing today are just huge. They require not just working in one field, to work with economists, to work with physicists, to work with social scientists. Bring in the expertise of all of these different disciplines into one place to help solve these big problems. And one of the big problems is we have trouble talking to each other. It's really hard to even talk across fields because our jargon is so specific to exactly what we do. So giving young scientists this training early on in their career will help prepare them to have these conversations, to be able to talk to different types of scientists, to the public, to policymakers, learn from them, get ideas, and actually make their science stronger and make more of an impact in the world.
When I was being trained to be a scientist, it was all about being a scientist. It wasn't about talking about science to people who are not scientists. And yet, in the real world, that's really what counts. Scientists know about science. People who are not scientists need to know about science.
Communicating to different audiences. You're very well trained to communicate to scientists at scientific conferences, write scientific papers, but you're not taught how to talk with fishermen. Communicating to the general public, I never had. And so I think that's something in this day and age that students really want and will gain a lot from in Stride.
This ability to communicate a complex topic and distill it down into its essential elements to the various different stakeholders in government and communities and so on takes a long time to develop. For some people, maybe it comes naturally, but actually there are multiple skills that have to be acquired in analyzing the data, distilling the data down into cool or accessible graphics and visualizations.
A picture says 1,000 words, as the old saying goes. This is because the human brain is a massively parallel processor, with the eyes being the camera, which can process visual information at rapid speeds. It vastly surpasses what computer vision can do these days. It can make sense of complex patterns by appealing to common sense, expert knowledge, intuitive thought, and reasoning. Nevertheless, the art is to make the right picture that resonates best with what the brain of the observer knows and has learned to see. It is important to find the right visual representation to convey the information in the most persuasive and intuitive ways. But at the same time, it must also be truthful. It should not distort the truth and mislead the human observer. There is so much data out there nowadays, and it's easy to get confused and overwhelmed. Most often, well-meaning scientific experts fail to convince policymakers and the general public because they do not find the right language to present the facts. An effective visualization can bridge this gap. This is why the Stride program is so important. It teaches student scientists to make effective data visualizations that they can use to make sure that the scientific facts they derive will make a positive impact.
Well, our challenges are the greatest that they've ever been. So, for example, there was a new paper that shows that deforestation that I study with my team at my lab, these places are the most likely where new epidemics are going to come from. There's also, of course, there's climate change, there is the extinction of species. It's kind of a call to arms to, as a scientist, help us decide so that we can, continue to have all the good things that come from our interconnectedness, but we try to keep these diseases or these challenges at bay.
One time I was sitting at the table of the Antarctic Treaty meeting, and just imagine yourself, it's like the UN. Every country has representatives, and I get an email suddenly from the lead of the US delegation asking me a question about how they should respond to a discussion that's going on at the table. And she's about 3 minutes from raising the flag and making that interjection, and I have to make a decision about what the science says and what the science means for the discussion that's going on at the table. And that's really hard. That kind of thinking on your feet and communicating your science in real time is very difficult, and that's something that scientists are not trained to do, but we hope to train students to be able to do.
If we actually have the policymakers in the room, if we actually have members of the public, and if we have people who need to make those decisions with the graduate students, with the scientists, we can build that from the beginning. It's baked in. It's part of my analysis. It's part of my research from the start.
My name is Joshua Comden, and I'm a STRIDE training fellow. STRIDE is going to help me get into the career I want, which is to be a data translator.
It is so important for scientists to be able to communicate to decision makers and policymakers in terms that they can understand, because they're the ones with the power, they're the ones with the budget, and they're the ones who can give you funding to continue with your pursuit of finding the answers that everyone wants out of science.